Welcome to Soul Shift, where modern science meets soul and real life meets transformation. I'm Allie Anderson. I'm here with my beautiful co-hosts, Mindy Gorman-Pletzer and Christine Morgenstern-Shin. And today's conversation feels like one that so many women in midlife are really ready for. Because so many of us have spent years pushing through, overriding our bodies, dismissing our intuition, and trying to keep up with the rhythm that was never really ours. We certainly all know how to function. We know how to care for everyone else, and we know how to get things done, and pretty darn well, I would say. But somewhere along the way, many of us stopped asking, what is my body trying to tell me? What do I actually need? And what rhythm feels true for me right now? Today, we are joined by Mary Beth Gudewicz. Mary Beth is the founder of Bella Nutrition Services and a functional nutritionist. She's board-certified holistic nutritionist and a healthy gut specialist. She supports women with hormone imbalance, sleep issues, food sensitivities, autoimmune disease, digestive issues, and chronic fatigue by helping them get to the root of their health challenges, often beginning with the gut. And blending science and intuition, Mary Beth helps women enhance their mind, body, and spirit connection, soothe their gut, and reclaim optimal health through intuitive guidance, bio-individual nutrition and lifestyle plans, chakra work, energy clearing, and meditation. She is also a certified nutrition therapy practitioner, a master nutrition therapist, functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, certified food and spirit practitioner, and a certified gluten practitioner. She's appeared on numerous shows and summits, and she is a best-selling co-author in the book Life Shifts: Women's Stories Surrendering to and Rising Above Life Challenges.
Welcome to Soul Shift, a sacred space where modern science, ancient wisdom, and real life come together in perfect harmony.
Each week, we explore the gentle art of transformation. Soul Shift holds space for your beautiful, messy, perfectly imperfect human experience.
Meaningful change doesn't have to break you open. It can unfold softly, like morning light.
Together, we'll uncover tools that honor your truth, share conversations that touch your soul, and celebrate the exquisite complexity of what it means to be human.
Your presence here is a gift. Let's shift with grace,
with love,
together.
Mary Beth, welcome to Soul Shift. We are so happy to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, Allie, Mindy, and Christine. I am so grateful to be here with all of you.
Oh, I'm so excited to dive in. Mary Beth, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a long time. And what stands out to me every time I'm with you is that you don't separate the body from intuition, and you don't even separate the gut from the spirit. You really seem to live in this space where science and soul are both part of the same conversation. I love that, and I admire that so much about you. And today we're really looking forward to diving into this conversation with you. But before we get into the deeper pieces, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to create Bella Nutrition Services?
Absolutely. When I was a child, I was born with an interesting situation. I used to get these really high fevers that were unexplained and a couple of rare illnesses that doctors left them a little bit befuddled. They didn't know how to diagnose it. But I also was born with this passion to learn and understand truths. So I would remember my great aunt sending me stories on saints, and I couldn't get enough of what's the bigger picture in life? Along with, I had this deep fascination with the human body. I loved my science classes. I was all excited. And fast forward to college, I played volleyball in college, and I ended up really sick one of the semesters. And after that time, my body was never the same. I got diagnosed with kidney disease in my late 20s. And then I was training for a half marathon. Here I am training for a half marathon. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm getting in shape. I'm doing some good things. I ended up tanking my adrenals, which back then they didn't have a diagnosis for adrenal fatigue. So I found this one book by this doctor and I just soaked it in and I started following his protocol. And I was like, wow, I just started to really learn the human body. Like when I got diagnosed with a kidney disease, my doctor was like, listen, we're going to put you on a lifelong prescription. And this was before I was in nutrition. And I looked at the side effects. I'm like, wait a minute, I could lose my eyesight. And he's like, yeah, you'll be fine. You're fine. You'll probably be on dialysis in your 40s anyway. So what does it matter? And I said, no, there's got to be another way. And he said, okay, well, we can try diet. We'll see if it works. And so I met with his RD and lo and behold, followed the protocol, reduced my numbers to a quarter of what it was, and no dialysis at this point in my life, knock on wood. So that was really good. And so this journey of what I kind of went through, I was also born an empath, which meant that when I would walk into a room, I could sense the room right away. I could read people's emotions. I knew when it was a positive situation, when it was a negative situation. I just had this like sixth sense, like, okay, this person isn't happy or this person's really happy. And that was really hard to be in elementary school and not understand what you were going through. So I kind of grew up with this, but I ended up finding great teachers in my early 20s that started guiding me, like, here's how you use these gifts. This is how you shield yourself. This is how you do all of this. And at the same time, I started learning everything I could about nutrition, health, wellness, and lifestyle. And I finally got to a point in my early 40s after getting the adrenal fatigue with the half marathon training of, I think I'm going to get some credibility around this and really get out there and start helping people like me. And so that led me into school, and I went to work right out of school for a functional medicine doctor and ended up getting diagnosed with autoimmune. So again, back on the bandwagon, working through healing, figuring out my protocol, working with practitioners I knew that could support me through it, and getting myself back together. And it's kind of funny now because I'm right now dealing with a current health issue, which I will get into down the road, but going back to my, basics and my protocol and working with the right practitioners. And we're looking at, okay, I don't ever live into the diagnosis. So it's always like, all right, what's going on? Give it a name. Fine. That's a name. But what is it that I can do to go back to the basics and start cleaning things up and then see where we're at and then go clean the next level and then see where we're at? It's kind of like been my pattern throughout my life. So it led me into this field, and I've expanded my knowledge. I've studied with some amazing teachers to understand the marriage of science and spirituality, not in like a new agey sense, but just in this real energetic sense. I mean, we're all energetic beings, and how the human body on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level works together. So that's kind of what led me to where I'm at.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I think that's so powerful. And I think you've had such amazing trainings, like really, really great trainings, but you're not teaching like textbook information. You're teaching something you've really lived and really experienced. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of like a visual and kinesthetic learner. So I think, God kind of puts me on this path of like, okay, we're going to have you go through it so you understand what it feels like. And that allows me space for the people I work with, because I know what it's like to sit in overwhelm when your practitioner is throwing 10 things at you that you need to be doing or dealing with or going through. And I can stop and go, okay, that was overwhelm. So when I work with my clients and when I teach my classes, it's really getting into being present and let's just break it down a bite at a time. So, yeah.
And what makes you and your story so unique is that you have lived and experienced both sides of it, right? You've been the client, the patient, and the practitioner. And I'm sure that it becomes very attractive to people who are coming in to want to work with you. And what really is so resounding to me is how lucky you are to be so connected to your body, so connected to your intuition. But that makes me think about how many women spend years living disconnected, right? Living from the neck up, thinking their way through everything, planning, managing, and yet always pushing and analyzing, very often to the point of analysis paralysis. So sometimes the body's sending message after message, but we've either been trained or developed self-soothing strategies to override it and override those messages. So from your perspective, why have so many women become disconnected from their bodies?
I'm going to say, based on both my personal and professional experience, I think women get overwhelmed. I think they feel like they have to wear so many hats and they have to be multitaskers in their life. Like, there's always this drive of, on some level, needing to prove ourselves and always putting other people before us, right? It's so easy to do, especially those that become mothers and we start taking care of everybody. And I think shutting down the body and not being connected to the body allows a woman to deal with her day to day. I'll talk about an example. I was working with a lawyer and she was a very high-powered attorney, very successful, but came to me with a lot of issues going on. And really, we started with, okay, wait a minute. Let's break down your life. And you are spread so thin that the body has no room to regroup, to get back in. And you're not even listening to these messages that are coming through, and now it's in the physical body, because everything starts, believe it or not, in the spiritual or etherical for women, okay? Human beings in general. And it works its way down to the emotional, then it comes into the mental, and then it's in the physical. And by the time it's in the physical, you're so sick, they're in overwhelm with it. So it really kind of like, once we clean things up, then I teach them how to listen to their body. Because your body's going to tell you, hey, you're on that locomotive train again. You better get off because you're heading down this kind of a flare or this kind of an issue coming up. You need to slow down. And I think women really struggle with taking the time for themselves and really being in connection.
It makes so much sense. Basically, what you're doing is you're helping them to rebuild a kind of relationship with themselves so that they can then translate that to the relationship with their body's messages. Makes so much sense. And I know from my work with clients that this kind of behavior, this kind of disconnect often shows up in their relationship with food. And sometimes the body communicates through cravings, digestive systems, symptoms of discomfort, right? Or even resistance to the messages that are brought about by hunger and fullness.
Yes.
These women who are disconnected are judging themselves. So I'm thrilled to hear that it comes down to rebuilding a kind of relationship.
It really is. It's like our body is magnificent. And I know that as we go through the midlife transitions, your perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, it's a gift actually, because I think it allows a woman to have to slow down and take inventory of their life. And I have seen more women that go through this, they stop because they're having symptoms. They work with the symptoms. They're like, okay, a lot of them don't let it define them. Some of them do, and that's okay. But the powerful person that comes out on the other side postmenopausally, I have seen women have gifts get turned on. I've seen them change careers. I've seen them step into their power and kind of become, I don't want to call the word selfish, but they become at a point where they're like, I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to take care of me. Because when we're at that age as a woman too, we're in the sandwich generation. So if we have kids, we're watching our kids kind of leave the nest, but at the same time, we're dealing with aging parents. And when we can just focus on us, even if it's just for one day a week where it's our time, we want to read a fun book, we want to go to book club, we want to sew, we want to knit, whatever it is, I want to go do. I want to go biking, hiking, whatever. I've seen such an amazing transformation for women at that time in their life that they actually step into their superpower.
And that transformation is the gift indeed.
Yes, it is.
You know, Mary, what you're describing makes me think so much about when you first start working with these women, they're probably very disconnected from their body or their heart, I like to say, right? And they're just frustrated by all these symptoms. So they come to you and maybe they're going through, you know, that season of life. And I think what you're teaching them is to, besides, of course, just simply slowing down, is that reconnecting with themselves, like finding what safety feels like, whether it's in the physical body or in their heart or, energetically or in their soul, right?
Yes.
And after they start understanding this and that overwhelm starts to dissipate and the women start tuning back into, I'm using the word body, but I'm really talking about heart, soul, energetics, right? That core identity piece. What helps that process feel safe instead of overwhelming? As you introduce them into this new kind of space that they can live in.
Yeah. I like that you use the word identity because I think it is an identity shift for a woman at that point. So really for me, when I work with these women and they are so disconnected in their body, some of them are even outside of their body, literally up around their head and outside, and they're not even connected in. I believe that the heart and soul are in the same area. That's just my philosophy and my belief based on my years of experience. And I always tell a woman, we know we've achieved our goal when you can feel your heartbeat. Do you know how many people cannot feel their heartbeat? And it's in that moment that I know we've gotten you back in your body when you can feel your heartbeat.
I literally had this conversation last Thursday. And this client said it took her over a year to feel her actual heartbeat. She had to keep going by, her wrist. And she said, I kept getting confused. You kept saying, feel it. And I couldn't feel it. But that was the disconnection. So it is amazing when you think about it. But that's so insightful of you to start there,
That's the first check-in, right? Okay, where's your heartbeat? And they'll look at me. They're like, I can't feel a thing. I'm like, okay, that's good. It's information.
It's okay.
It's not right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also where you connect to the soul too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling your heartbeat, you're in the center, you're in that heart center, and you're connected to your soul as well. So then it's kind of interesting when the messages start coming in, not just from your body, but you might receive some divine downloads as well. But it's connecting into that heart space.
That's beautiful. I like how you started mentioning different signs. What other signs can you share with us that someone's beginning to come back into the body? So it sounds like, heartbeat obviously is a big connection. I know it'll happen after time. You're talking about downloads coming in from our spirit guides or the ether or whatever someone believes, right?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, whatever your belief.
Exactly.
Totally.
From God, what have you, right? What else? Do you kind of give them hints or do you ask them to just explore, somatically, or what other signs can you share with us if someone's listening?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everybody is so bio-individual. So we play in the sandbox, I call it. Another really good one, a basic one, and I'll ask all of you, is where are your feet? A lot of people don't feel their feet either. So it's really finding your feet as well and just centering in that. Oh my goodness. I've done NET with people. I've referred out for somatic healing and EMDR, but also there is a really raw connection to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds so cliche, but have you ever just sat up against a tree? And I will have them do that. I'll be like, all right, do you have any trees on your property or do you have a park close by? I want you to just go sit, ask the tree permission, and then I want you to go sit up against the tree because there is something so grounding to being connected to the tree. And it's been proven. They've done studies on the connection of trees to humans and the amazing interconnectedness with trees, how they communicate. So I will have them also connect in that way. I think one of the biggest things that we forget is we feel like on some level we have to prove ourselves. And I think it's in working with just allowing yourself to be. And it's a really hard one to learn. It's just to be.
And just to feel your breath.
Yes. Just to be in the moment. I think we get so caught up in our schedules, in our calendars. And for me, when I am in that overload, I get slapped down with an illness, or I get slapped down with an accident, or something of that nature it's a huge wake-up call for me. Now, for other people, it's not. It's probably just burnout, where they just are like, I'm depressed, I'm unmotivated, I'm tired, but I'm not sleeping. I really have, especially a lot of my very busy clients, I will make them set their timer and I will say, I don't care, 5 minutes, and you're just going to sit and do some deep breathing and you're going to find your heart. Just close your eyes and shut out everything else. And I want you to do that 3 times a day. Feel the feet on the ground. Feel the heartbeat. Just breathe. And that seems to help start to shift them. And everybody's different. I have the busy-minded ones too. So for them, I'm like, go out for a walk. Get outside, walk around your office. Go for a walk. If it's raining, take an umbrella. But go outside. And just notice the birds. Notice the trees. Feel the ground beneath you.
I can feel your calming sense. I can feel it in my body just when you say it, that place of like, let's go there. It's beautiful. And I am going to try to sit next to a tree. I've spent a lot of time outside, but I've not intentionally sat next to a tree. So I'm going to take that advice. Thank you.
Well, then, Allie, you're going to have to let me know how it is for you because it's life-changing on a lot of levels. It's incredible.
I will. I'll send you a picture of me too. Perfect. Okay, so I do want to bring it into sort of getting like really practical, right? Because I think a lot of people, this idea, especially women who are just beginning that transition in life and just realizing that they're starting a new chapter in their life, it can be a little bit overwhelming. It can be a little bit confusing, like what this looks like. How do you teach women to trust their intuition? And how do you teach them to know the difference between their intuition and what is like fear, anxiety, ego? And how do they really know, like, this is my intuition, this isn't my ego, this isn't anxiety, this isn't some old programming I've had for a long time. This is my intuition telling me what I need right now.
Usually when you're in ego, I call it a pushing energy. It's kind of like, no, you can't do that. No, why are you doing that? No, well, maybe you want to think of this. Well, have you thought about that? It's kind of like this rushed pushing energy is the best way to describe it. That's how I experience it. And I notice that a lot of women do experience it that way, right? It's kind of like that pushing energy. It's a pushing energy into you. When it comes from God, divine, your guides, whatever it is for you, it's a soft whisper usually. And it's not like you physically hear it, but it can come from within you and it's just a soft whisper. It's like a simple answer. It's like, okay, so let's say, should I go check on my daughter? It's a simple yes. It's almost like the softness to it. And that, is a divine message for you. It may be a detailed download. Like you might get like, okay, I've got 5 ideas. You grab a piece of paper and you just start writing, but you're not realizing you're writing because some people call it automatic writing. And they just start getting down and then they look and they're like, they reread it and they're like, wow. This is exactly what I needed. So everybody kind of has their own intuitive way of getting their information, but it is always soft and easy. I think when you're sitting in that ego or that inner push, it's just like it's almost grating in a way where it's like it gives you more anxiety than the whisper does. The whisper is kind of calming and you're like, okay. And sometimes you might look at it and sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, da-da, and I'll be like, what? You want me to do what? And I'll be sitting there and I'm like, okay, we're going to go with it. I don't ever discount now my intuition. Like, okay, we're going to go with it. And it ends up unfolding in a way that I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. So the first step is knowing the difference. Great question, Allie. And the second step is then playing with it. So okay, it wants me to go left instead of right today on my drive home. I'm going to go left on my drive and see what happens. And then if you ignore it, like say the next time it wanted you to go left and you go right and you might come across a car accident or you might come across something that animals crossing the street that you almost hit or something. It's kind of interesting when you start using it as a muscle how it becomes easier. So it's just getting it into practice. So I work a lot with that practice. Like we work a lot with basic exercises to start getting the muscle going, start trusting the muscle. Now, a lot of us who are mothers, there's an innate sense. And I will always ask the question, well, didn't you ever feel like if your child fell in the playground, like something happened to your child and you came home and you found out, oh yeah, they fell in the playground. That's your intuition. So sometimes, yeah, it'll tell you get out of the burning building. I had a colleague of mine who was in the Palisades fire. And that morning, she literally get out. She grabbed her stuff, her animal, and she was like in the car way before everybody else was. And the whole place burned down within an hour. So sometimes if you need to not be at a spot, they will get very clear with you, like get out, move, go, leave. It's not a pushing energy. It's still loving. Even the get out is still, there's love around it and you can feel the love around it, if that makes sense.
And how about when it's so gentle that it almost, you're like, is that it? You know what I mean? Like it's so simple and so gentle. Like, have you coached your clients around that of just trust, like just trust in the simplicity of the message, or how would you go about it?
When it's so simple like that and it's just a whisper, you can sometimes ask, okay, wait a minute. Did I just hear you? Or did I just feel you? Or did I just mind's eye? You got an image, whatever, however you get. Some people get smells and they'll be like, did I really smell the rose? Did I really smell rose? And then it'll come again. So it's like, I always tell people, I'm like, just sit with it for a minute and make sure there's not a lot of chaos going on around you because it's in the stillness that we can hear. And that's why women need to slow down because it's in the stillness that we hear it. So if you're not sure, just sit in it and say, okay, did I just hear you? Tell me what, and then you'll get it again.
It's in the stillness that we can notice.
Yes.
Noticing. So many women are exhausted from not noticing because they're pushing.
Yes.
Pushing through expectations. Pushing through, as we said before, hunger, tiredness, resentment, grief, right? Being, as you mentioned, the sandwich generation.
I want to say something to grief, Mindy, that you brought up. I think we fear grief. And when we allow ourselves to fully experience grief, it's our greatest teacher.
So true. I recently had a conversation with a client because she was associating grief with losing someone through death.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she's going through a transition in her own life where she's needing to take a hard look at where she is and where she wants to go next. And there's a lot of letting go.
Yes.
And that letting go can bring grief because so often where we find ourselves is because we've gotten here because we needed to be there. Which Chris mentioned before, safety. So it very often needs to be a grieving process because I think when we fully grieve, we fully honor.
Yes, 100%. And it's a full release of all of your bodies, believe it or not. Your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual. I call it the grief peak where it really hits you and you might be crying and screaming and yelling at the world and you're like in this place and all this stuff comes out of your mouth and you look back like, why did I talk about the squirrel that crossed the street? Well, I was like raging through this grief. But when you get through that peak, and I'm not saying that grief doesn't go away because it is, I'm a grief counselor, so it goes back and forth. But when you get through that really hard first push of grief, the relief and the fatigue you feel afterwards and just the complete exhaustion and the letting go, let God, I call it. It's the best feeling in the world on so many levels.
Yeah. And I can just speak for myself that I've experienced deep grief and I've been able to notice that I can experience joy at the same time because I've acknowledged that if the situation hadn't been that great, it wouldn't hurt so badly.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. That person or that situation meant so much to you. There was a deep love there.
Yeah. And I remember telling my daughters when they lost their dad, you know, it wouldn't hurt so bad if it hadn't been so good. And that needs to be celebrated. And that's what they still hold on to 21 years later. So there's a great lesson in that.
Yeah. I lost my dad at the end of 2023. And there's something about losing your father. I mean, I think there's something about losing any parent. But, you know, it's like as a daughter with a father, it's an interesting journey that you go through.
That it is. I've shared, I lost my father just a few months ago. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But there's always joy. Always. There's always joy if you allow yourself to notice.
Exactly. I love that. Exactly.
Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
So Mary Beth, I'm wondering, once you kind of start, it sounds like you lay that foundation, you know, clients you work with start feeling a little more connected with their body and with their heart. And how do you guide them to start finding like a gentle rhythm through their day? And you might call it something different, not that full-on hyper-focused flow. I mean, that'll come too. Just that gentle rhythm of like, once they befriend nature and they befriend really their heart and themselves. Because to me, that's a beautiful sweet spot, you know, to live.
Totally. I have people bring me their schedules. Like, okay, I want to see your month's calendar. And we seriously go through and we reroute some things so that they can have what I call their peace moments. And in those peace moments, you can do whatever you want, but you can't do any chores. And you can't work. And you can't take care of somebody else. I don't care if you pick up a fun book and read a chapter. I don't care if you go for a walk. I don't care if you just sit in the silence. But you have your peace moments throughout your day that we designate as you time. And believe it or not, that they have found more flow. These women have found more flow in their life when they have their peace moments throughout the day that they know. Some of them, it's only 10, 15 minutes, you know, with the schedules they have. But it's 10, 15 minutes that they richly look forward to. And it's a great reset moment for them. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, having those X amount of times throughout the day, if they need to, they keep resetting themselves, right? Or if they don't need to reset themselves, they're just getting more of an enhanced, you know, to me, a fulfilling flow of their day. Just because it's more connective, right? You're just helping them connect more. That's great. I think if someone's going to start doing that and say it's really challenging for them, you know, 10 minutes for that type A personality.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because they might look at you like, excuse me, you want me to get into rhythm? I have a to-do list, right?
Exactly.
Where would you suggest just a simple first step? Like if all else fails, 10 minutes feels like 4 hours. What would you suggest?
Honestly, I would say if you're at your desk, stand up, close your eyes, find your feet, find your heart. And I want you to do, and I give them different numbered breathings based on what I think frequency they need. So it could be a 3-7-8 breath. And in for 3, hold for 7, release for 8, sit for 3, in. And I will have them do that for about 3 to 5 minutes. And I have gotten great feedback on that for the type A busy woman that's scheduled back to back. Now, there are women out there, and we know them, who push through everything. And they're like, I know I do this. And then they crash and burn.
Yeah.
And we love them. And so it's really for me, then I'm like, all right, well, then we need to find your time on a weekend because you already see your pattern. You go, 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 go. And then it's boom, crash and burn, crash and burn. And then you're down for 3, 4, 5 days. So let's start weekend. Let's start incorporating something in the weekend that you enjoy, that makes you laugh, that's fun, that's I don't care, it's not work, and you can let it go. I also know career women that talk about how they have a hard time getting out of their mind. Their mind does not stop. It's going 24/7. And so a lot of what I'll work on with them is from the head to the heart. Sit for like 2 minutes, head to heart, find your heart, find your heart, find your heart. I've gotten great feedback on that one for the monkey mind, type A, high-stressed woman.
I love it because you just simplified it. Everyone that's going to you, obviously they're there because they want help and they want to improve, right? So I could see that working beautifully. Even if they're struggling because of their busy schedule, they'll try it, and it's just genius that you're giving them something so simple but yet so impactful.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love these tips too. They remind me of something I often say, and which is that complicated problems, they don't always require complicated solutions, right? And I think what you're telling us is this can be very, very simple, but so powerful and really quite life altering if we can take a few minutes, whether it's 2 minutes or 5 minutes, to really find ourselves. And I suspect this is how we also start to learn about listening to our intuition. When we have those 2 minutes of just standing there quietly breathing and connecting with our body, that's when the intuition can kind of talk to us and give us a calm message.
Yeah. And it's so important because feeling connected to ourselves is not extra. It's not supposed to be extra.
It's not supposed to be. And I know we've got so much noise coming at us in this world. And I know that sounds so cliche and everybody says it, but if you think back, and it's going to age me, prior to cell phones, how simple were your evenings? For me, it was come home from work, make dinner, and then chill out with my husband for the evening. That was it. We didn't have to look on our computers. We weren't connected to our jobs. We were just simple. And then even after we had our daughter, it was family time. We would get her bathed, we'd put her to bed, and then the two of us would sit and hang out that night, sometimes playing backgammon, sometimes watching TV, whatever it is. And my husband and I had this conversation recently, like, why have we allowed that noise to control our life? And how do we get back to boundaries around all of that noise? And I am going to be perfectly honest with you. I am one of those people that has evolved, especially postmenopausally, where a lot of my day, because I work from home a lot, I don't have anything on. It's complete silence in the house. And it's complete silence even on the weekends. And I'm going to tell you, if you can be in that stillness, how amazing your creativity can flow. It's been very profound for me.
That's really powerful. Okay, Mary Beth, before we get to our closing, I do want to definitely touch on the gut because it's such a big part of your work. And in functional wellness, we talk a lot about the gut as the foundation of our health, right? And you talk about the gut bringing intuition, bringing energy, bringing the mind, body, spirit connection. So can you share a little bit about how the gut health and intuition are actually deeply connected?
Very deeply connected. Most people, if you close your eyes and you think of something that is dreadful or scary, you'll feel it in your solar plexus in your abdomen. Sometimes the abdomen to the heart area is very common. Some people it's up in the third eye, but most of it is in the gut. It's like that. It's that visceral punch that you can feel in the gut. And we all know 70% of our immune system is in that gut. And when you go through changes in life, and I'm going to say puberty is a change. I'm going to say when you go through pregnancies, it's a change. When you go through menopause, it's a change. And every single time our gut microbiome shifts. Period. End of the sentence. And if you are a woman who has autoimmune or any other condition of that sort, you're going to want to be in tune with your gut a lot. I do a gut reset once or twice a year, easily, because I know that gut is always changing based on stress, based on whether or not I'm in a flare. And I will definitely tell you, you get a brand new gut with the hormone changes that you go through with menopause. And so when you're talking about your intuition and your gut, you feel stress. Okay, I don't know how you guys feel, But I've noticed too, the pattern is when you go through this transition in life, your stress meter, you just don't have a wick anymore. It's like the littlest thing will set you off. Like if you're running 5 minutes late for an appointment, you're like, oh my gosh, and you're like stressed out. Oh, it's going into the gut. It's going into the gut. I don't care what you say. It is messing with that gut. So more than anything, it's trusting when that gut is speaking to you. It's bloating. There's gas. You maybe eat a food that you used to be able to eat and it just doesn't sit well. It feels like a brick in your stomach. Don't ignore that. That's your body telling you, hey, I need a little help here. We need to get things going. Maybe you have some constipation or diarrhea. This is all. And when you are feeling that gut punch intuitively too, you might notice a looser stool, or you might notice you get a little bit constipated, or you might notice a little bloating immediately. There is a symbiotic connection to that intuition with the gut, and it talks to you all the time. Don't ignore it. And we ignore the gut first. We continue to eat certain foods because we don't want to have to, quote unquote, give them up. And I'm like, well, maybe we just need to change some things, Maybe we need to just kind of feed it a little differently. And it's trusting when you are getting those signals. Because if you can catch them early enough, then you can stop it from kind of rolling into something deeper.
It really does let us know that it's not just the rules on eat this or don't eat that. It is really just listening to our body and helping us notice what makes us feel safe.
Exactly. And I think so many times too, we ignore that. And I always call the gut is the kind of the canary in the coal mine. It's telling you intuitively, if you're in a situation or you're in a room where you feel uncomfortable, there's a reason for it. But also it's telling you, hey, your body's a little off. Let's get you rebalanced. So there is a very physical and intuitive piece to the gut completely. You do the studies, everything's so symbiotic in that gut and the connection to what you're feeling externally and energetically.
What you're saying makes so much sense. The gut, the nervous system, your core identity, they're all in constant communication, and whether we know it or not, right? But if you're physically inflamed or irritated, then everything else feels so much more reactive. Your nervous system feels dysregulated. Also, don't feel like yourself. I think that core identity piece is so important. It might be a little easier to go, oh, I'm bloated, which is a very important sign. But then at the same time, if you feel off or not like you, or you feel pushed around or not, centered, well, it might manifest as physical conditions or symptoms, I should say, as well. So
yes,
I love how you're tying this all together,
Thank you.
Mary Beth, this has been such a beautiful and grounding conversation. You have left our listeners with pure gold, especially the woman who feels disconnected from her body, the woman who's unsure how to trust herself again. You really made an impact, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mindy.
Where can our listeners connect with you, learn more about Bella Nutrition Services, and hear about any upcoming courses, your book, or your current offerings?
Get on my email list. I've got amazing free gifts. So it's some deep meditations to really connect in and center your body. Just go to bellanutritionservices.com. And then once you're on my email list, I'm hosting some community events. I try to do those once a quarter, some in person, some online. Would love to meet with you. It's a great, just open time. And yes, I've got some things in the work that'll be coming out later this year. So stay tuned. And I'm also on Instagram at Bella Nutrition Services, LinkedIn at Bella Nutrition Services, and Facebook, Mary Beth /Bella Nutrition Services. So come join me. I would love to connect with you. Please reach out anytime.
Fantastic.
Mary Beth, thank you so much for being here and really reminding us that healing isn't only about what we do, but more importantly, what I got from you today is about how we listen to our body, to those little energetic messages, to those, drop down from the ether messages. And, one big takeaway I got from you is just simply pausing and just noticing and just, like you said, being, just leaning against that tree and just letting it happen, right? And you mentioned a lot about trust too, like trusting about the flow or the rhythm of the day is just very bio-individual. And to not compare, just embrace yours and just make it your own.
Yes, exactly. And, trust your cycle. We all have cycles, and everybody's is so different. Just trust it. It will not steer you wrong.
I think that's a beautiful place to end, because I think the trust, the faith, the connectiveness, like that's what we need, I think, to be able to move forward and feel like ourselves, right?
Yes.
Like who we truly are. And so I thank you so much for the work you do. And everyone listening, if the episode resonated, we'd love for you to share a little note down at the bottom, or subscribe, or share it with someone who can find a lot of value from what Mary Beth is offering. And please visit all of the places you can find her. It'll be down on the bottom in the show notes. And as we close, let's always remember here at Soul Shift, let's shift in a very organic way and gently together. Thank you for sharing the sacred time today.
We hope something in this conversation touched your heart
and offered nourishment for your soul's journey.
Remember, transformation is most effortless when it happens one tender shift at a time.
Until next week, we invite you to carry one insight from today into your life.
Not as a task.
Think of it as a superpower to yourself.
If something resonated, we'd love to hear from you. If you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment below.
Your words ripple outward, offering connection and comfort to others walking this path beside you.
If Soul Shift feels like home, please subscribe and consider leaving us a review.
Your support will help us reach more hearts that need to hear they're not alone.
We're holding you in love, so know you're not alone. Your journey matters.
May your heart be filled,
and may your path be filled with grace.